Bringing a product to market can be expensive, time-consuming, expensive, and emotionally draining. Like, what if you spend the next few months, thousands of dollars, and lots of time bringing your product to market only to realize that people won't buy it? In this video, we're going to look at a strategy to help you gain confidence in your product launch before you break the bank. If you've always dreamed of launching and scaling your product online to build a business, you're in the right place. Be sure to hit subscribe and the notification button so you don't miss future content we release. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Khierstyn with Launch and Scale, and on this channel, we give you practical tips to help you launch and scale your e-commerce brand online to give you a life of freedom and control, living on your terms. So I assume if you're watching this video that you've probably stayed awake some nights wondering and stressing out if people are actually going to buy your product when you launch it, right? If that's you, say yes or no in the comments below. I have spent the last 5 years bringing products to market, raising millions of dollars in pre-order revenue, seeing product launches go really well and turn into 7+ figure brands, and I've also seen ones do really, really bad. And I've really seen both sides of product development. So from this, I've learned a few tricks to validate products fast with minimal effort and usually less than $2K spent. And the old way of launching products was that you would get an idea, you would manufacture it, you'd then have thousands of units shipped to your basement, and then you'd start to sell your product, only to realize that nobody wants to buy your product. And that's a really expensive proposition, because by the time you realize that you either don't know how to market your product or there's no demand for your product, you are out a second mortgage on your house. And that's like super risky. So the new way of launching products is all about validating your idea first, making sure that people will actually buy your product before you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on potentially your biggest mistake. Today, we're going to walk through this idea of a pre-order model, or how to sell something before it's even built. Validating an idea before you bring it to market, I'm all like handsy today, but validating an idea before you bring it to market is so important. There's too much money and time on the line for you to spend on a product that isn't going to work. But better yet, when you go through this process, you're going to learn why it will work and actually speed up your launch and how quickly you're able to launch and scale your brand. So the new way of launching products is through a pre-order model. It's where you're able to actually take money in advance for product. So customers will give you money to essentially reserve their product, and then you take that money, you manufacture it, and then you deliver that product to customers within a couple months later. This model has been proven for over a decade in the crowdfunding space. And now what we're moving into is more of a private crowdfunding, where with this, you're able to actually take orders on your own website in advance. And using pre-orders is a way for you to validate your product before you go invest in inventory and make an expensive mistake, okay? So in terms of this, why does pre-orders work and why should you do it? Well, first off, when you do pre-orders, you are able to take a commitment from a customer in advance. People vote with their wallets, meaning it's not enough anymore to validate a product based on somebody saying, ooh, that looks really cool. Yeah, sure, I'll back it when you go live. But what's more, when you actually ask for a firm commitment from somebody to see if they are serious about pre-ordering your product, you can either take a deposit on the product or you can get them to pay for the full pre-order price of your product. In that way, you know for sure that they are serious about buying your product. So when you go through the actively selling your product, even though you may only have a prototype at this point, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're onto something and people are resonating with your product. So number one, there's that. The psychology of a micro commitment. So what we do with actually validating products through a pre-order model before we take something to launch, if you don't want to do a full out pre-order where you're taking full price for the product, you can ask for a smaller micro commitment. You can ask for a $1 deposit. You can ask for a 20% down where the rest is payable upon delivery, etc. The more somebody is invested in your product in the beginning, the more likely it is that they're actually going to follow through and purchase. So here is exactly what I would do before I place an inventory order on a product. I would put up a storefront, I would drive traffic to it over the course of a month, and see how many orders I can get. Okay, when I do that, I'm able to gauge if the market wants my product enough to purchase it. At the end of that month or $2,000 spent, you can analyze it and see if there's enough interest or whatnot to continue with the product. When this happens, you'll do one of two things. If after a month you're happy with your progress, you'll then say, awesome, I feel really confident, we're going to place the order. Okay. Or the other thing happens where you may say, ooh, you know what, the data we got back, I'm not so sure about it. So let's take a step back and go back to the drawing board. So in which case, in both of these situations, we're going to talk about the ethics and how to do right by your customer in this, because on the surface, I realize that this video can sound like, oh, just, take money from customers, which can sound like a big scam. So let's talk about the ethics of this. When you facilitate this market test, you need to give the customer the option for a full refund. So at the end of the day, I truly believe in being 100% transparent with your customers. So what that means is that during and after this market test, when you decide that it's time to place the order, and you're then going to have a realistic shipping time frame at that point. And at that point, you'll want to go back to any purchases you've had or anyone on your email list, any really awareness you've built, and say, hey, really great news. We are now placing the order and we're forecasted to ship in 3 months, 2 months, whatever that looks like. Fortunately, because this is longer than what you originally signed up for, because I assume that on your storefront, what we would do is we would put just some arbitrary date in the future that say like 2-3 months out. But then we would say, so because the timeline's a little bit back from what you thought, we're happy to do a full refund, or if you are happy waiting, we'll give you an extra discount on your product or this free gift or something like that. Okay. You want to give them the option so that they know exactly what they've signed up for and what the process looks like. The other side of it, though, is if you go through this process, you take orders and you realize you're just, based on some feedback you got or based on the numbers, you're not continuing with the process right now and with the launch because you need to go back to the drawing board. At that point, you do need to be upfront with your customers and say, hey, really sorry, we're actually a little bit delayed on the bringing this to market. So here is again, give the option. But depending on if you're for sure not moving forward or if you just need to buy an extra month or so for testing, then again, go back and do hey, I could offer you a full refund, or if you're willing to wait a little bit more, here's what we're doing to make it worth your while. So you do want to be transparent. You do need to protect the brand, and customers will know it's a pre-order, but they're taking a risk just like you. So do right by your customers. This is really the ethics behind this, because there are so many brands or like people out there that will just kind of keep the money or not be upfront about their customers, and that's no way to create a brand. That's no way to really start to build trust off a brand, especially in the beginning days. So in terms of that, you just learned a method to drastically increase your speed at which you validate products and decide on which next or new one to bring to market. So because you stuck around to the end, I'm going to give you a free launch checklist, which you can grab that below this video in the resource section. Apart from that, thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe for more tips on how to launch and scale your e-commerce brand. So subscribe and then head over to the next video. We'll see you soon.